Calibration is a process where we evaluate employee performance data across groups of people or a whole organization to create distributions and understand what the performance across the business looks like. The reason why calibration is important in HR is to really create a process where we're creating more equitable distribution across the organization, and we're using data to better understand how our employees are performing. Is there a way where there's bias that's informing some of these ratings where we can eliminate that, and can we create a more realistic and equitable distribution across our organization so that it can better inform our downstream processes? The process of calibration is not a requirement for any organizations. The reason why organizations implement a calibration process is to help understand and influence their downstream processes, such as promotions, mobility, compensation decisions, bonus payouts. Without the process of calibration, especially for larger organizations, it becomes an impossible process to get your arms wrapped around to understand really, is someone a high performer, a mid performer, or a low performer, and are managers evaluating their employees correctly? Any organization can set up a process of calibration, but if it isn't structured and driving the right outcomes, if you don't have the right processes in place to really understand how to simplify it, how to streamline it, and to make sure that the right outcomes are being achieved, then it's a process that's done for naught and becomes a check the box for the whole organization. So really sitting down and evaluating what would be the benefit add to our organization. What are the outcomes we're trying to drive? What are the decisions what's the data we need to be able to make certain decisions? What will this data inform? Will help you really put all the pieces together to understand what your calibration process will look like. Where the process of calibration gets hard and where HR tends to get stuck is trying to boil the ocean with all the data and all the information that's available. And those that incorporate all possible data points into their calibration process ends up creating a massive process that becomes overwhelming and very time consuming. The biggest thing that we're still trying to solve for really comes down to bias. Typically within organizations, a process of calibration really exists either in spreadsheets or in PowerPoints. And what this looks like, what this ends up being, is a process that really fosters a lot of bias. So if we think of the process and where an employee gets rated, they have a year-end performance evaluation where a manager who has limited view on really what an employee does all year relies on their memory to really evaluate, did someone do well over the last 12 months. Not one person is going to remember everything. You're going to remember light bulb moments. And our memories always fail us because it's always influenced by the emotional component of how we felt about a situation. Did we think it was really positive? Do we like this person so we remember it more positively? Do we have issues or a worse relationship with somebody else so we remember it in a bad light? The other element of that is, as humans, we are also innately biased. We can't help it. It's the way our brains work. Our brains try to automate decision-making processes as simple and streamlined as possible. So the process in which employees get rated already is inherently flawed. Then we take that flawed data and compile it within spreadsheets or PowerPoint documents where leaders and executives, also HRBPs, look at all of the ratings across groups of people or an entire organization to say what percentage of employees sit within each rating bucket. A lot of the reason why this is established, those rating buckets, and looking at a distribution of rating across an organization, is because organizations have only so much money budgeted for employee pay and employee resources. Most organizations will use this process of calibration, looking at the distribution of their rating buckets to say, okay, those employees that are rated high will get the most money. Maybe your employees rated in the middle might get something, or more often than not, they don't get anything. And then your low employees certainly then in that case don't get anything and might be part of layoffs within the business or let go for poor performance. The problem with the approach of using a process of calibration to cut your low performers means that you are missing out on a lot of talent. You might have, and especially when we're bringing into processes where we're talking about, even more so today, we're talking about diversity, we're talking about neurodiversity, and the question really needs to be asked, do we have the right people in the right role? Taking an approach where we're just cutting the bottom 20% means you're letting go of a lot of talent that could really be beneficial to your business. The biggest question every business should always be asking themselves is, how equitable is our process? Is it fair for everyone across the board? Have we supplied the right resources, the right education, the right information for this process to be really fair and equitable for everybody? And when I'm talking about everybody, I'm talking about neurodiversity, diversity, regional groups of people. All of the things that make up your business and your culture of your organization influence those decision-making processes. The future of calibration, I think, is very exciting. It is a process that a lot of businesses have in place, and everyone's trying to really figure out, what does this look like? And with the future of AI, it doesn't mean the human's gonna go away, but you're gonna have more understanding of information of how employees perform throughout the year, what their engagement looks like, what they achieved. Not every single manager has access to what employees do day in and day out. They rely on information that they can gather and what's being told to them by their direct reports. So by incorporating AI into a continuous performance management is going to get you to a place that will, one, enable employees to be able to manage their own performance on their own and be able to have that autonomy and mastery in the direction that they want to grow their career and what that looks like. It'll give a lot more objective data for managers to be able to have, so we're not relying on our memory. It will help eliminate some bias. And then AI can take that and start to prepare for proposed performance ratings, proposed evaluations that managers can edit and use at their discretion to say what makes the most sense.